What is going on, guys? And today we are back and we're mixing it up with, if you have been around the World Series of Poker the last decade or so, this person needs almost no introduction, Mr. Bryce Yockey. Mr. Bryce Yockey, how you doing today?
Doing good. It's a great day. I'm having a good time.
Awesome. So super stoked and excited to have you here. So I'm gonna jump into a couple things with the bio. Obviously, you have been around the World Series now for I think about 15 years. And
Sounds all
I
right.
had to, yes, about right. I had to go through your caches, and what I didn't understand or I didn't know is that I'll just spill some beans here. You have 18 official final tables, and what I did not know about that is because when I was going back and counting all your official final tables, because the World Series doesn't release that information, I had to count. I had to keep going backwards because I didn't realize like how many final tables that you had. So super excited to have you again. Um, yeah, let's just go over your bio real quick, and then we'll get into some of your history. 6.5 million tournament earnings, two WSOP bracelets, the 10K PLO8. That is a good one to win, and yeah, that's
I
like
got a I got a fun little story about that one. So yeah,
yeah, go
yeah.
yeah, we'll get there.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
okay, 5K six-handed PLO last year. 18 WSOP final tables, 80 WSOP caches, including a fourth and a second in the PPC. Obviously, you came second last year to Daniel Negreanu, and you had 17 total caches last year. That was pretty staggering.
At the World Series.
Yeah, I think I counted them last year, 17.
Wow.
And one thing that actually like shocked me is if I counted that right, you didn't finish in the top 10 in POY.
No.
That
I
was that was that was crazy for me to kind of figure out like how they're doing the math for that nowadays. So
yeah.
um but yeah, for anyone who's not familiar with you, can you give you like your 1 minute history, your poker history, and yeah, we'll start from there.
Sure. Yeah. I used to play Magic the Gathering with friends like as a kid. 2004 on a Friday night, we're all playing. Saw the World Series of Poker main event final table. David Williams got second. I'm like, I played Magic with that guy. I know him. Let's try this. Started playing with friends once a week. Played throughout college. I graduated in 2009. Didn't have a job lined up, so I said I'll go to the World Series of Poker and give it a try. I had $5,000. I played a 1K, I busted. Played a 1500, I busted. I almost went home. Instead, I played a 1500 six max no limit, and I got fourth.
I remember,
Um,
I remember looking at that.
so I had a 100K bankroll just kind of out of the blue fall into my lap, which is the lucky way to get it. Never really looked back since then. Been playing a lot. Migrated into mixed games and PLO maybe in 2012 or so. Started playing a lot there. Um, and since then, I've just been kind of playing cash the rest of the year, tournaments, like got a few stops a year, which obviously include the World Series, which is my primary focus there. And then been lucky enough to get some wins.
Yeah, so when you say with respect to the mixed games, did you jump into the mixed games the same time you jumped into PLO?
I started PLO first, but I was more serious about mixed games, I would say, for quite a while. There was a home game in Malibu. I grew up in LA, so the home game in Malibu, I used to play with Mike Sexton and Vince Van Patten.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we played a 10 and a quarter dealer's choice, and we would just pick all sorts of crazy games, and it was super fun. I had no idea how to play any of them. I was still winning because everyone else was like so terrible. I was like literally looking up the rules of Badusi online at the time. There was like a back then the rules. There was two rules actually. There was one where like the ace counted for low in Badugi but high in the hand, and one where the ace counted bad in both, and we weren't sure which one to play, so we would just alternate. It's it's kind of funny. And we're playing pot limit by the way, so it's like it plays really big.
How much is
Um,
on the table?
I mean, not that much. We were probably sitting like 5 to 10K stacks, but we had so much fun. It was like awesome.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome story. Yeah, when you go back and as long as I've known you, you've definitely been more known as like a PLO/PLO8 player, and obviously you've like migrated into the mix. I one of the fun questions I have for you setup later obviously has to do with the PPC and kind of like your results there. But we'll kind of get into it as we go forward. Now, one of the questions I want to start like with asking you is, you've known to be a very aggressive player in the tournaments, and like
Sure.
obviously, yeah. And how does that help you and or hurt you nowadays when you're playing?
It hurts me when I can't rein it in.
Hmm.
I sometimes I feel like that I know when I'm perceived this way, and I know the way someone's going to respond. But I like look at my hand. I'm just like, oh my god, this is such a good hand to go for it.
Yeah.
And like I just do it, and then they call me with some hand that's completely out of line, like normally. But I'm like, well, you were right this time, so I can't really say anything. Um, I feel like it helps in kind of all the more traditional ways. Aggressive poker is just good. Um, it's hard to play against.
Yeah.
Uh, it kind of reduces your variance in tournaments somewhat when you start winning pots without showdown.
Mhm.
Um, and then I feel like that, like when you find the players who cannot handle it, it's like at its best because then you just
Mhm.
continually just go after them and they just can't do anything. Like they don't know what to do, so they're just continually struggling.
Yeah, it seems
Um,
like that, and then they'll make a really big mistake against it.
yeah, I mean sometimes the big mistake is simply just folding too much, and like obviously that's honestly that's my favorite because then I just like again like I talk about like the low variance chip accumulation, like that's kind of like where it is.
Well, I feel like in some ways, isn't that the kind of the secret to tournament poker? Is like if you like basically put yourself in a position to like never get knocked out of the tournament, or very few instances you're in a position where you can actually get knocked out of the tournament, like by being all in. Isn't that like somewhat of like a secret to tournament play, especially like big back poker?
Yeah, I think if you can make it work, yes, that would work. I feel like that worked a lot better 10 years ago.
Sure.
These days people like are much more resilient against regression
Hmm.
and fight back kind of appropriately. So it's kind of more about just like playing better.
Hmm.
First, I think the secret to tournament poker is winning multi-way all-ins.
Yeah, sure.
Those are very good. Those are good ones to win.
Yeah. Um, for sure. Actually, speaking of, I think you didn't you just win like a four way all in the PGT and one of the ones you won.
Yeah. And it was a mystery bounty. So the very first hand in the mystery bounty, he started with like, I don't know, 15 people left, like three out of the money.
Mhm.
We're like, oh man, this could be a long bubble. And I raise 9, 7, 6, 5 double suited. It goes call, call. The big blind clicks it. It's a very short stack. And I'm like, all right, everyone's worth a bunch of money. I'm all in. So I just four bet like with nine high. Everyone put all their chips in, and I somehow made bottom two and held in a four-way all in, which is wild. Like, um, but yeah, the bubble took exactly one hand.
That's lovely. Yeah, that's hilarious. I remember seeing that hand. Uh,
Yeah,
and talking about like obviously getting in the World Series a little bit here. Uh, you had an incredible like run there in the PGT and the PLO. In between that now and like leading up to the World Series a month away. What are you doing to prepare? Like, are you playing some cash games? You planning on playing any more tournaments? You just working hard? What's going on?
yeah. So preparation kind of falls in like two categories for me.
Mhm.
There's the non-poker side of preparation, which involves kind of like
Mhm.
having a healthy lifestyle, trying to improve my fitness, setting up my routine preemptively at Vegas. Like I figured out where I'm staying, booking all that. It's nice to not have to worry about that. I'm already trying to set up like a meal prep program during the series so I
Right.
can have that. Um, that's kind of like the normal stuff. Part of my process is simply relaxing, like at least for like a week or two, kind of going into it. Um, so I don't feel burnt out. Um, and then I feel like the poker side is mostly I'm just studying PLO tournaments.
Sure.
Um, I'm gonna play other stuff, but that's gonna be the primary focus of like where I'm trying to improve.
Yeah, a couple things. The first one is one thing I used to do before the series every year is like 2 months out, I would always take 3 weeks off. Like I was
That's
I was
smart.
playing I was playing all the time, nonstop, and I'm not someone who could just keep going, going, going. I had to take that break. That was always important for me.
Yeah.
The second thing is like obviously you're talking about like playing a ton of the PLO. Last year, um, I watched your interview, your quick interview you gave after the PPC last year, and you basically said, I forget who the interviewer was, but they were asking you like, well, are you going to continue to play and try to win player of the series? Like, I, I'm playing everything. Like, I don't know if there's anything else to play at this point. So is that
Yeah.
kind of your strategy going in this year, or you said
Um,
you're focusing more on the PLO tournaments versus the all the other stuff?
yeah, so I'm not actively chasing POI the way certain people are.
Mhm.
Um Last year was more of a function of I already won a bracelet and I got second into PPC. So like now POI was like on the table for me without even trying,
Sure.
which kind of changes my schedule somewhat.
Mhm.
Um the way I structure my World Series these years is that I look at the schedule ahead of time. I pick which tournaments are must play events for me, and I skip the tournaments before that. Those are my rest days. So like an example for me is like the 25, 50K and 100K PLO. Like I'll be playing those tournaments almost 100%, which means like I'm skipping tournaments that are potentially good the day or even 2 days before to guarantee I get in. Um so I don't play as much volume as I used to. I used to just literally play every single thing on the day that was available and just like kind of like let the cards fall where they lie. For cards fall where they lie. I'm not sure actually. Anyways, using using quotes I don't even know. But yeah, I think it's healthier the way I do it now because like I'm more focused for the events I really care about. I feel more rested for the events I really care about, and I don't feel any FOMO that occurs from like being in a smaller tournament,
Yeah.
making like honestly even running up a stack in like a 1K and suddenly or 1500 and you're like, oh my god, I have to play 3 days of this tournament and like I might like get 10th for like 12,000, which is a great result in the vacuum of the tournament, but a terrible result in my mind if I'm like missing like a 50K PLO. Like, so it's kind of like, I kind of just like want to erase that possibility from even existing now.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like you're at the point in your career where, you have your goals and you have uh, your big tournaments and you want to focus on them because that happened to me a lot too. Like I always had a kind of a smaller schedule with the 1500s and then I had kind of the bigger schedule with the 10Ks. And
Yep.
I've always, the one tournament I will always never miss is the 10K 08 for me, the Limit 08.
Sure. Yeah, it's a great event.
Yeah, it's a great for sure. But every other 10K kind of was like, well, if I make day two of this 1500 reduced to 7, then I might miss the 10K dealer's choice kind of thing. And yeah, I wish I had kind of scheduled my schedule a little bit more like you're doing now. Any Triton? Are you gonna play any of the PLO Triton events in the future?
We'll see. Part of my process for these days, which is things I never thought about before, but like for example, like I was considering going to Jeju, and playing the PLOs because they were so legendary the previous year.
Mm.
But I thought about it and I'm like, I think flying out there, I would need to schedule at least 2 extra days in advance just to get over jet lag.
Yeah.
Because I think going there to play like nosebleed high stakes tournaments like jet lag is a really big mistake.
Mm.
Um, the fields are good, but they are like kind of like pretty fast turbo events that have really high volatility and like a lot of reentries. I wouldn't be able to take 100% of myself in that anyways. So like putting together a package for that is like kind of more of a headache than maybe it's worth, unless I got like a reasonable, what I think is a reasonable markup, like to kind of justify it. Um, I don't know. I mean, I think the European ones are probably more likely for me.
Okay.
Um, they look good. I guess I just don't care about winning them though.
Okay.
Like, yeah,
Yeah, that's fair. Like
yeah.
for sure. All right. Daily routine during the World Series. So you're gonna go out there this year. You're gonna, you've already got your stuff set up. Are you staying on the strip? Do you stay off the strip? What does a typical day for Bryce Yockey look like?
Wake up and kick ass. Um, uh, so this
We're
year,
gonna get that on a shirt. Wake up and kick ass.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think this year it's gonna be on the strip. I'm gonna say Vidara.
Okay.
I like Vidara because is walkable to the World Series.
Mhm.
Which I think getting an extra 1,000 steps in a day is worth a lot during the World Series, honestly.
I cannot. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
I've stayed off the strip. I don't mind it. But 2 years ago, I stayed in a house that had like a ton of issues in the house
Mhm.
during it, which was just causing all sorts of like additional mental burden that I didn't want to deal with. So I think it's just the safe consistency of like Vidara is the answer for me this year.
Yeah, I think this is the fifth one I've done for this is the fifth one I've done. And besides um Kevin Gerhardt, who has a place in Vegas.
Mhm.
Actually, Eric Baldwin too. I did, but he's like, man, we have a room upstairs where we can just go relax and take a shower. Just being able to be super close and walk and take the
Yeah.
shower, get some food upstairs. It just seems like seems like every good player has like the backup plan with respect to that too. So
Yeah, so I was one of those people. Um I would tend to get a room at um Horseshoe, I think it was.
mhm.
Um for maybe like a week at a time during like there's stretch of like big tournaments that I knew that I really wanted to play and would like hopefully do well. I don't eat on dinner breaks. Most people do.
Mhm.
My I subscribe to the theory that I can eat at the table, and I would much rather take the rest on the dinner break, which sometimes just means like being in a quiet room to decompress. Sometimes it means like even studying during the break, and a lot of times it means taking like an extra 30-minute nap. And I think that is extremely valuable. I won't do that this year because my plan is just to walk to Badara and do that.
Mhm.
But maybe if it's a big event, I might still do it. We'll see.
Yeah, when I interviewed Kevin, Kevin said something to the effect of on a dinner break, he never would. I don't remember if he said he would never eat or he would never eat dinner or a big meal because of the whole like the what is it, the lag after you get, kind of like that whole full feeling and then you're
Yep.
yeah, that just he said would throw him off and so he just stopped doing it. So again, kind of an interesting piece of information, I guess.
Yeah, my preference is to have like a light meal already packed
Mm.
that I can just eat, and I'll tend to eat it after the dinner break at the table is my usual way to go.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good one. With respect to the 25K draft, does it motivate you at all? Because I'm sure you're gonna go. Obviously, you're saying even on here right now that you're gonna play like the 25K, 50, 100K, and
Yeah.
those in themselves have a lot of value. Obviously, you have some really good success playing 10K tournaments as well. Those have a lot of value. Does it motivate you to like to keep playing, or are you just like I got my set schedule? If you want to pick me, pick me.
I don't really care that much. Um, Last year I made a small little stink about the fact I got drafted for like $13, which I thought was just like kind of absurdly disrespectful given like what I've done. But I mean, I didn't really care. Like, it was more like, oh, okay, well, I'll just draft myself in the ODB league then, like on every
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't really make a difference. I guess like for someone who plays cash in tournaments in the series, it might swing them. But for me, I'm there to just play tournaments anyways. So like, I'm just there to like have fun and play the events I want to play and hopefully maximize dollars along the way.
Yeah, sure. Are you gonna you plan on playing cash games if you do bust this year, or are you just gonna stick to the tournaments for the most part?
Last year, I didn't play a single one. I don't want to say I for sure won't, but it'll usually what happens is if I bust early, I'll hop in whatever the secondary event is in that day, unless there's a reason to skip like it. So like that's usually how I end up playing no limit tournaments. It's like I'll bust like the PLO or mixed event, and then I'll hop in the no limit event.
Yeah.
And like I'll do that. So it's like I don't think it really makes a huge difference for me.
Okay.
I probably won't play much cash.
Okay. Fair. And you've had just like a ton of success. What do you think is like one of the best things or one of the main factors that has made you successful during the series?
Run good. Um, I mean, honestly, so much of it really is just like variance in key spots.
Yeah.
Um, I think that I've played a lot of volume throughout my life, and I think I'm very experienced at playing tournaments the World Series now, which helps a lot. I mean, I've played like 30 events a year for like 14 years. Um, I'm, I think I'm good at adjusting to like weird situations. Where I think these come up a lot in World Series tournaments against like softer fields. Where a lot of people will do like things that like are clearly wrong, but like you may not necessarily know exactly what to do against it. I think I've been good at figuring that type of stuff out. I think I'm also good there because there's no shot clock. So I kind of
Mm.
get to think through those spots with enough time to really kind of make those right decisions. And
There's no question once you put the volume in and you get all the reps and repetition, you just, there's not too much that you haven't seen already, especially after you saying, like 15 years, you're playing like 30 tournaments at a time. You've just seen so much.
yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot in like specific games for sure. There's a lot of stuff that'll come up where like I'll play, I don't know. I was playing the 10K Raz 2 years ago, and I made the final table with Talal, who was opening like two pictures in the hole. like on the final table. I mean, he was chip leader and he was like trying to win the bracelet. So like, but as I'm sitting there, I'm just like, okay, like haven't been in this situation before. Like I'm gonna have to try to figure. Obviously, it's a great spot, but it's just like trying to figure it out. It's like honestly kind of hard sometimes. But yeah, um, yeah. I mean, it's just experience. I think is mostly it.
Yeah, sure. Well, then going from from the experience and basically, what helps you make successful, what would you like to improve? What do you think will help you become a better player, like going into the series and, next couple years on going forward?
Um, from a PLO standpoint, which is the primary point of my focus right now, I think the biggest thing I can do is simply just get more reps. I'd really love to get more reps at final tables, but that's kind of
Mm.
hard to do just because they're final tables by default. It's part of why I play PGTs. It's because like they're like smaller fields, so it's easier to get there, easier to get some reps in there. Um, other than that, I guess in a more broad general sense, like I don't know, I just maybe I wish I could get better at mix at this point. I don't feel like I have really good resources for that. Not that it's something I've tried to really do at this point, but I feel like my game hasn't really improved in like 4 or 5 years. Like I kind of feel like the same guy.
Really? Okay. Well, that's a very honest answer. I wasn't going to expect that because I got another question here coming up for you that, I think um, I think the difference between, because the last time I saw you at the World Series was 2019. That was the last time I was there, and that was the year that you finished fourth in the PPC.
Yep.
So, I'll get to that. Actually, let's just jump to that one right now because obviously, I found a tweet. I remember specifically a tweet that stuck in my head this whole time. And when I found out that I was gonna interview you for this one, uh, this came back in my head because basically said you tweeted out. So June 24th of 2019, you said have 20% of the PPC to sell at face. There is a legit chance I'm not a winning player, so buyer beware. You go on, for what it's worth, I think I've been playing very well this year. However, my 50K table draw, Jungle, Glance, Galfon, Haxton, Dan Smith. Remember when I said buyer beware?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a bad table.
And then and then you said this at the end. You're like, the best thing going for me on this table is that people play slow, so they get to play fewer hands against me per hour, which
Yeah.
obviously like super funny. But as that's progressed, and obviously you've been playing the PPC since then, and then um at the end when they were interviewing Daniel Negreanu at the end, he gives you mad respect. And he basically says like playing heads up against Bryce was a pleasure because he's a monster. I didn't want to play big bad pots against him at all. I just tried to stay out of his way.
Yeah.
And the two things. The first one is like, obviously over that time frame, you said you don't feel like your game is really necessarily improved too much, and you want to get a little bit better at mix. But you have two top fours in one of the biggest tournaments in the world, hands down. So like that was cool. I'll get to the secondary question, but um, have you not really felt like you've improved that much, like over that time frame? I'm sure your PLO game feels like you've definitely improved.
Well,
What,
I think that's probably part of why I've done well in that specific tournament because like I actually get to play the game I have improved at. So I think my '08 game has gotten better just like tangentially through like getting better at Omaha as a whole.
Mhm.
Um but like I don't think I've improved if at all, like very minimally in like games like all the draw games,
Sure, yeah.
um, all the stud games. I mean, those are the ones I guess. Limit Hold'em, I haven't really improved. Like I mean, I've reasonably studied in Limit Hold'em, but like certainly no expert. And I feel like that I feel like maybe my ability to think through poker has improved. But like individually, I don't think I've actually improved in those games much at all, which I think is like kind of reflects in my results too. Because like when you look, like I don't have that many results in like straight mixed game tournaments. Like I have a few, but like not that many, considering I actually do play quite a few of them, honestly.
Well, I mean, in all fairness to you too, you finished like fourth in the 10K horse back to back years. I mean,
Yeah, that one's
so
really good. That one's really good though.
that is really good. There's
It was a really good tournament.
that is a really good tournament. Yeah, yeah. If my buddy Andrew Ye is watching, the fact that he won it, yeah, it's a really good tournament. I'm giving a
Yeah, I remember some hands on the final table against him, and then again against Kevin the next year too.
yeah, yeah. So Yeah, it's one of the best. And obviously, like if I had to rank the top three 10Ks for me to win, one would be the 08, the PL08, which you've won, and the horse for sure. So they're all up
Yeah.
there. Like I said on the bucket list last time, but always up there. Always, and the other question I wanted to ask with respect to the your comments in the PPC going forward is if any other players thinking of buying into a tournament they normally don't, because I don't know where that was for you with respect to like 50K buy-ins at the time in your career, but if you think a player is going to normally buy into a tournament they wouldn't necessarily play, like what advice do you have for them?
Um, I guess from like a bankroll standpoint, I would kind of ask yourself, okay, I'd ask yourself why you're playing the tournament. Like, is it for fun? Is it for a challenge? Is it because like you just don't want to miss this one? Like, whatever the reason, it's usually not because of like a straight financial reason. It's usually not because like this tournament's so good I can't miss it. So like I would ask like how big of a piece would you have in your normal 5K buy-in tournament? Then just like take that same piece in this tournament. It doesn't matter if you have 6%. Like it really doesn't. Like just play the tournament so it's comfortable for you, because if it isn't comfortable, the tournament, however difficult it is, will be magnified like 2 to 3 times over.
Yeah, right.
Like your decisions when all the money's on the line are going to be more difficult with more stress, which makes it harder to think through. And that's when the money's on the line. So like in reality, it's not really about like how you play on day one. It matters obviously, but it's really about how you play on day three. And if you're going to be struggling there, it was probably a mistake to enter in the first place. So yeah, I would try to make yourself comfortable before it even starts.
Yeah, I think you've actually given a very similar answers with respect to a couple other players too. And for sure, when you start the tournament and you're super deep and you're just playing, you're playing. But if you cannot make those big decisions later on, that's where all the money is.
Right.
I mean, it's super
Right.
important at the end to be able to just think clearly as best as you can, because
Mhm.
you're going to be playing players like against yourself who have multiple final tables, and you know they just don't care. They're just trying to make the best decision.
Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
all right. With respect to like recreational players and they're just going to go have fun at the World Series, any advice for them?
Um, have fun. Don't beat yourself up about making mistakes. I mean, I think that goes for pros too, to be honest. Like people who have fun play better, I think, honestly.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I mean, enjoy it. Like, I don't really know what to say. Like, obviously try your best. Uh, think through your decisions. But like these are all just kind of standard poker stuff. I don't know if there's any special secret for like a rec to do something different. I think everyone's trying to do the same thing. Just some people are better at it.
Yeah, I think that's I think when you said like, people who are having fun at the table tend to do better. Um, I also think too there with respect to like emotionally the stress, you know, I'm sure as you for sure know, like if you're playing and you're focused for 10 to 12 hours, by the end of the night, you're absolutely fried.
Yeah, for
Your
sure.
your brain's gone.
100%.
And if you're having fun with other people at the table, you're not as fried.
Right. Completely agree.
You're just you're more relaxed. You're kind of just like taking it all in. But I mean, like the times when I've been playing like bigger buy-ins, I'm totally fried for sure.
Yeah.
Even if I'm having fun. So yeah, it's like
Yeah.
the more fun you have, I think the better way to do it. I also think
Yeah.
too, another piece of advice people have given is like, if you want to go play a bracelet event, go play a bracelet event. But there's so many good tournaments going on around the series on the strip anywhere else. You can just go pick a tournament at your like favorite casino that you like to go to, and if you bust, go have a good dinner or something like that. Just
Sure.
I think going to have fun is a really good way to
Yeah.
put it.
I'll say this. There is one main distinction that I didn't really mention, but like if you're a rec, your primary goal is probably not to win money.
Mhm.
The primary goal is probably to like either have a good time, which is going to generally be accomplished by playing, or to win.
Mhm.
And if you are in there to win, I would let yourself not get sidetracked about your secondary goal of like winning money. Like if you're really in there just to try to win, go for it.
Yeah.
Like that's your best chance. Like going for it is your best chance, because like unless you have the skill advantage, increasing variance is kind of in your favor anyways.
Well, yeah, sure. And definitely a lot of people are always thinking about like the ICM implications in those situations. And yeah, like if you don't care and you're just trying to win, like you can put yourself in a really good spot if you do like pick up chips against some of those people. So for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, like you go there and like you go to a final table and you force someone to be in a spot they really don't want to be in. They might just make the fold because they're like, oh, I'm in a great spot. I'll just give up this spot. Even though I should call, I will give it up. And then suddenly like you're actually beating them. So I think like going with aggression, like really just like putting it all out there, like giving yourself the best chance to win. Like if that's your goal, is the way to go. But I mean, it will cost you money to do so. So
Yeah,
that's just an important thing.
I think that's really I think that's really good. It is important though because it's one of the ways that you might actually be able to pick up a slight advantage like over the professionals too at the same time.
Yeah, you'll win more, but probably finish worse overall.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Yeah, you'll have a higher win percentage, but yeah, your average finish will go down a little bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. So one thing I've talked about and I've had a lot of interesting answers with respect to like short stacks. So obviously you're playing a lot of tournaments during the summer during the World Series, and at some point you're just going to get short. How in those moments do you stay mentally strong and just not give up?
I mean, 10 years ago, I just didn't. Um,
Yeah, I mean I've definitely just thrown the chips in too, so I've been there for
I
sure.
think, um, trying to think of the right way to put this. So I think that for when you lose a big hand, I think it kind of helps if you're already mentally ready for the outcome. So like sometimes you'll enter a pot and already be thinking, okay, like maybe you have a hand that gets it in, but you're near the bottom of your range.
Mhm.
So like I might already start thinking, okay, well, if this event happens, what's my game plan? So like I think that like being prepared for the worst possible outcome kind of like removes the emotional burden on you somewhat.
Yeah.
Um, I think the other thing is that like honestly, just stand up and take a deep breath. Like you're still in. Like it maybe the deep breath is coming because you had to fold for 2 hours and you had an above average stack and now you don't. And you're just like can't breathe because you just can't get dealt in it. And like that's okay. Just stand up and take a breath. Cause like when you do that and you really just close your eyes, you take that deep breath, you will reset some and you will settle into your current situation. And the only thing you can ever do is play your current situation as well as you can.
Yeah.
So like if that situation is bad, then it's bad. And you're a favorite to go broke. But the best you can do is maximize that spot because like when it comes down to it, tournaments are built on like the accumulation of not making mistakes. And then those chips add up to the points where you do eventually run hot and you do win your say flip or multi-way all-in or whatever. And those chips are now multiplied over and over and over the course of the event. And that's generally how you win is when like your day comes, but you can make your day come by just playing your best. And we've all seen situations where a short stack runs up into a big stack, especially in limit mixed game tournaments, like insanely quickly. Like it feels almost impossible the way it happens, but it does happen. And the only thing you can do is give yourself the best chance for that. So I think just resetting your mindset and just trying to really just know, okay, I just got to do this. Gratitude and expectation is kind of like the thing, I think.
Yeah, you know, everyone said it. Everyone I've asked this question to basically says like, look, we all know someone and we've all had it happen to us at some point
Right.
in our career. You know, it might not be in a 50K or $1 million tournament, but
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely happened in like a $300 tournament or 500 or 1K or
Mm-hmm.
you know
Mm-hmm.
5K or something like that where we had one big blind left or one chip left or something like that,
Yeah.
and we came back and won the tournament. So yeah, it happens all the time. Just don't give up. And the other thing too is you know, if it's day one and you're in like level two and you know you bust, it's like it's okay. You know, like
Sure.
it's okay to bust early. That doesn't really
Yeah.
mean anything too.
It's the same thing as busting 10 hours later.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. You
It's
know,
actually honestly better. Like,
100%. I would totally much rather bust an hour two than bust an hour 10. Um,
yeah.
you know, there's like some implications that you could say they're one way or the other, but for sure, if you're gonna find a way to bust, like bust early, you know, and go do
Don't,
something else, go have fun.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Um, and then anyone who makes their first final table, because obviously I've made my first final table, you've made many final tables, but you obviously made your first somewhere along the lines. What piece of advice do you have for anyone who makes it for the first time?
Mm. Play slow.
Yeah.
Um, Final tables, by definition, are more complex than normal poker. Um, Especially at the World Series where you don't have shot clocks. You should really take advantage of that and take your time and really just think through your decision clearly, because it's easy to skip things when you're rushing, and like oftentimes the small details you skip can be the difference of like making the right or wrong decision. And I just feel like that if you think slower or longer, it'll help you just think more clearly. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's actually something that I haven't even thought about with respect to the World Series versus a lot of the other tournament series now with respect to shot clocks.
Hmm.
Because, I've just always played tournaments without a shot clock. But
Yeah.
now obviously the implementation of it just changes it. Also, you've been at a lot of, I would say, like high profile final tables. And the majority of them now are like stream live or recorded or something.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna just tweak it just a little bit, but any sort of clothing or anything you recommend, because these things are different. Like you're sitting higher up, the
Yeah.
rails are higher, the lights are super bright, people are
Yeah.
shouting, it's slow. Like sometimes when you get all in, it takes 3 minutes to deal a hand out. It seems like.
Yeah.
So what else is there? Like anything you want suggesting wearing or?
I got something there. So I personally almost always wear some version of the same outfit.
Mhm,
Um, I always wear a hat
mhm.
because it's really bright.
Yeah, that was my tip.
And
Yeah.
I also like, I don't know. I think zoning out the rest of the world kind of helps me focus a little bit, and the hat does that to some degree. I always wear a lightweight hoodie
Mhm.
because it's really hot under the lights. But if you wear a heavy hoodie, it gets hot under the hoodie. So I prefer to wear something very thin and light, where the primary goal is just like, don't make my skin get baked here. So I just feel comfortable the whole time. I don't want to be sitting there 6 hours in a final table feeling sweaty, like I need a fresh layer of deodorant, like all that stuff is like anything that can be a distraction, I avoid. So to me, that goes for your clothing too. Like anything that can be a distraction, I wouldn't wear that. So like I don't wear thick jeans. I usually wear like light sweats. I usually wear either like a comfortable pair of shoes or like slippers, so like my feet don't overheat or like feel like they're getting like stuck or whatever. Like it really depends on who you are and like what you feel comfortable wearing.
Mhm.
Some people they want to look good, they want to floss, so they want to they wear their best outfit. Like I've done that a few times in my life. Sometimes I do something like I think is kind of funny, but it usually involves like something I would wear anyways. Um, like when I lost the hand to REA, I was wearing like the octopus hat, which I thought was just kind of like a fun
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think honestly, hat, lightweight hoodie, and just make sure that your clothes can't be distracting
Yeah,
to your sight.
I I will I always recommend just bring a hat. Someone to bring a hat because it's actually it's not only distracting, it's almost blinding how bright those lights are.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like being interrogated. Not that I've ever been interrogated before, but you know, it's it's very it's jarring to say the least too with all the
yeah, for sure.
distractions. All right, let me give you some rapid fire and then we'll get you out of here. Favorite mix game?
Badoogie.
All right, that's fair. That's a new one actually. Of all it's, I feel like the majority have been 08 or Badusi.
I like 08.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I'm sure the pot limit kind too, right?
Yeah, I like both, but yeah.
Yep. Favorite restaurant in Vegas? Everyone should try at least once.
Um, Elia, which is a Greek restaurant off the strip.
Okay, I might have to try that. I like Greek a lot.
Elia is really good.
Okay, if you could have one hand back in your poker career, not named number two, what would it be?
Yeah, do I? Munju rocks. Hold on, sorry, my puppy.
Oh, yeah, tell her. She wants to get in.
do I get to run the hand again, or do I have to play it differently?
You get to pick. You can have two hands. If you want two hands, you can have two hands.
Well, there's there's a stud hand I played against Negrano heads up, where I had a pair, he had a pair. I made two pair on 6, he had two pair on 7th. Can we just run 7th Street again?
Oh yeah.
And I was for like over half the chips in play in the tournament, and I was like, I don't know, 70 something percent.
Yeah, that's fair.
And play differently. I don't know. There's a fucking million. I'm sure there's a bunch. Like I can't even think of a specific hand I've misplayed that really matters in a big spot, but there's got to be a bunch of them.
Yeah, okay. We'll leave it at that. I mean, we all have them for sure.
Yeah.
Any memorable moments in poker that are not poker hands?
Um. This one immediately comes to mind, which is kind of funny. So right after I lost the PPC hand to REA, I hopped in the 10K PLO8 and I made the final table of that one. And I decided I would wear the hat again. And on the final table, there's like 7 or 8 of us. And Hastings raises some hand. I 3-bet, he calls. I get it on the flop and I have him beat both ways, which is obviously an amazing spot in 08. Yeah. And he somehow hits both ends and scoops me. And I was sitting there, I was like, how the fuck did this just happen? And Shulman sits there, he looks at me, he's like, Bryce, just burn the hat.
Yeah. Oh,
it was just like, I don't know, him and his delivery right after doing the commentary on the Shifus, he like all of it, like the way I was like, all right, that was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, he's so fast. He's just
yeah,
good.
Yeah, for sure. He's super witty. He's so much fun to talk to, actually. Another one, 10K stud, 2 or 3 tables left. I'm playing with Angry John Monet. Mm-hmm. I like John. We are friendly and stuff, but you know, he's his reputation for a reason. So we're playing a stud pot. Stud again. And he has like buried aces, and I have like split jacks or something, and I catch 2 pair and I beat him. And he just lost his shit. And he's just like, Bryce, I know you're not fucking stupid. So why do you play stud like a chicken with his head cut off? Like, and I was just like again, like same thing. Like, I can't do it the way they say it. Like the way they say it is funny, but our whole table just started dying laughing. It was like so funny. John is just steam coming out of his ears, like, and we're just all having a funny time. And like those were 2 of like the more fun moments I think at the World Series for me.
Was that so that was in 2000 with the PLOA was in 2019. And you said Hastings and Shulman were there. Did Vitch make that final table too?
Oh, maybe. I don't remember actually, because I can't remember everyone who's there anymore.
That was
I just remember it was Shulman and Brian, but I don't remember anyone else.
I mean, I was pretty sure I remember. I don't remember if it was a year, but I remember Vitch made the final table one year, and maybe it was, but that was just a stacked final table if that was the case too. So
yeah, there were some other people too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part too, it's just such a unique game and such a big buy-in that you're gonna have a lot of very well known name professionals at the final. Mm-hmm. If I made you emperor of the WSOP, would you change anything?
So many things. I would probably pay out fewer people. I think the payout structures are kind of fucked up right now. I think they're really big for min payouts for like a lot of people. I would kind of change it one way or the other. I would change how the breaks are structured a little bit. I think like okay, it's more like a whole scheduling thing. I would personally schedule tournaments so they don't like end quite as late as they do, especially for the mixed tournaments, and maybe start them a little earlier. I think registration is open too long for a lot of events and not long enough for others. I don't see why it has to be static for specific events.
Do you think the tournaments are too slow, or do you think they're about just right?
I think it's hard to say because they're slow, but anywhere else's standards. They take a long time by anyone else's standards. But the World Series is kind of unique. It has so many players. I think it's pretty fair, honestly. I guess I would prefer the higher buy-ins, not all be turbos. Like every buy-in over every buy-in 50K and up's a turbo, except for the PPC. Um, Kind of seems crazy to me that that's the case. Um, I would make a half no limit, half PLO tag team event where each player can only play one game.
Yeah.
And that would be one of the most fun. Oh, I have a 3K PLO 6 max bounty unlimited reentry tournament that would work, and then I might do some other super funky stuff.
I feel like you're throwing darts at the dartboard right now.
Oh man,
Like the next tournament.
I'm like, if I'm the emperor, I got control.
You know, I heard one. I heard one years ago where they were. I don't think anyone was floating this idea, but the players were kind of like, let's make a 25K horse tournament tag team where one player can only play like one game, or even like a game that I'd be like,
that tournament might have like 10 entries.
I know. That would still be cool.
It would be kind of cool. I mean, I don't think I'm playing any of the games good enough to be in any of the team. Maybe 08, I could probably play well enough to qualify.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm really happy to add a 25K half and half for NOLA and PLO. I really think that's been overdue. Like, I think there's a lot of there. I think that a 5K PLO8 tournament would have an amazing turnout.
Yeah, I never thought of that. I feel like those fields in general tend to be pretty separate, but you might be right.
I mean, they both have great turnouts, and I see a lot of overlap in players playing them. So I feel like it's probably would have a really good turnout. Other than that, honestly, I think they've done a really good job over the past 10 years. They keep changing stuff and tinkering stuff, but in ways that feels good overall. I'm sure some other emperor out there, Negrano, is doing things in ways that like he's making it like the way he perceives things to be good. And I think that person overall is doing a good job.
Sure. What's the one mistake most players make in PLO8?
PLO8.
PLO8. Since I get to actually ask you a question, I want to know this now too.
Sure. I think most players overvalue like hands that have like 3 or 4 low cards, but without an ace. A lot of players will come in like raising the button with a hand like 10 deuce 4 5 with a 5 high suit, which is like a really big mistake. Like that's just like not a good hand. And I feel like that people who aren't experienced the game kind of feel like it is. And then suddenly they get tied up in like all these really terrible spots after the flop also. Other than that, I think maybe they don't find enough aggression on boards where scoops are like either guaranteed or likely. So that's like going to be like high card boards where I think people tend to be under bluffing quite a bit, or like 3 wheel card or 3 6 straight boards where like I think it's much easier to show up with a hand that scoops and people just don't find aggression there. They just like let you win half the pot way too much.
Yeah.
That's kind of the stuff that immediately comes to mind.
Okay, cool. No, I'm glad I got to pick your brain once for PLO8, so that was good.
Yeah.
And last question. Any question that I haven't asked that I should ask?
Which tournament I'm going to win this year? I don't know.
All right, which tournament are you going to win this year?
1500 double board PLO bomb pot.
Oh, I forgot that was a tournament this year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I put my name on that one. I don't know if I'm going to win. So the story all the way back to the beginning. The 10K PLO8. The 10K PLO8. Before the tournament happened, I went online and said, I'm going to win this tournament. I'm taking all comers inside bets of any variety, must cash, must final table, must win, any which way you want to do it. And I got a bunch of action, and then I won the tournament outright.
Well,
that was like
that's a good spot to be in.
So yeah, that was fun. So I was like, I feel like I'm like, okay, last year I called the 5K PLO. This year I'm calling this one. To be fair, I call a tournament every year, and I don't always win it. But I feel like if you don't say it, it makes it a little harder. Like if you believe it, then it makes it a little easier to happen.
Well, you're putting it out in the universe, and we'll see if it happens. So, good luck to you. Good luck during the series, and yeah, that'd be sweet if you win the double bomb pot. So I'm sure some people will give you action somewhere somehow. So
probably not. Well, who knows? Maybe. Are you coming out there this year?
Yeah, I'm gonna be out there the first 10 days this year. So
okay,
I'm gonna play a couple events, not too many. The 08, the 10K 08, probably the PLO8.
Sure,
we'll see what happens. But
yeah, I mean. Yeah.
It's it's tough with kids nowadays, but I'm
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, and just seeing so many faces I haven't seen in like 6 years.
It's kind
So
of fun, right? It's almost like summer camp.
I've always said that. I've said that for
Yeah.
the last 15 years. Whenever I
Yeah.
posted on one of the social medias, I'm just like, this is the adult summer camp right here. And
Yeah.
but Vegas is such a unique place in itself. I know some people like can't stand it, some people don't like it, but when it comes down to it, like I love the food. I love Red Rock, Mount
Sure.
Charleston, like those areas. It's just so cool. So
Yeah.
and it's unique, and you get to play a poker tournament. Like my last story here is I remember having dinner one time with a lot of the old poker players in Arizona, and Vitch was there, and we're having a nice dinner on like top of a mountain, and he's just like he's looking around, and maybe he's like 3 glasses of wine deep. I don't know at this point, but he's just looking around. And he goes, "Guys, we play a game for a living.
Yeah.
Like
It's pretty
this is
amazing, isn't it?
this is amazing. Do you guys know that we play a game for a living?" And
That was
I
my
have
thing growing up.
Yeah, like and that's just an interesting way to perceive it. Like, at the end of the day, you can take some bad beats, and I mean, our it's a very cush life to say the least, and in the fact that we get to go into some of the nicest places, realistically, like nicest hotels in the world, and go
Mhm.
play, some games with other people for like big amounts of money. It's yeah, it's really cool. We'll just say the least. So
Sure.
so Bryce, yeah, good luck this World Series, man. I'm sure I'll see you out there. Hopefully, maybe we'll go get some sushi or something.
Sounds good. I was gonna say it might be tough for us all to get a day off at the same time, but if you, me, and Chris are all out, why don't we go to Elio?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I'll look forward to it, and I'll write that down somewhere. So,
Sounds good.
all right, Bryce. Good luck to you, and I'll talk to you soon. And everyone watching, good luck at the tables. Play well. We will talk to you soon.
Thanks. Super fun.
Bye.